P-Funk in the house.
All right.
Take two, right?
Now
Take
you can,
two.
yeah, go ahead. Brian
All right,
thought,
so
welcome to beer, right?
welcome to Beer, a skydiving podcast. Nice. Here,
Brian thought
hold on, wait. Virtual salute.
bing, bing.
There you go. Yep, clink.
This is a crisp apple hard cider.
That sounds good. Is that Angry Orchard? Is that what I'm
Yes,
looking
it
at?
is.
Yeah.
Somebody left it at my house from the Halloween party.
You still have beer from the Halloween party? That would not last long
What? What do you mean?
at my joint.
Oh, I'm not much of a beer drinker.
Well, I mean, just alcohol in general. It doesn't sit around for long. I'm drinking a really shitty vodka and cranberry with some grenadine and soda.
Nice.
I don't know. No, it's awful. I'm not a vodka drinker. I like gin and I like whiskey. I've never made anything with vodka, so this is new for me, and
I
it's
like
awful.
vodka. I like tequila.
Tequila.
really
I like
good.
tequila. Don
That's
Julio. I like the Don Julio. Yeah.
Well, folks, welcome back to another edition, episode, beer, Skydiving podcast.
So,
Geared towards beginners or newer jumpers, but really for anybody.
yeah, most of the time we just end up bullshitting a lot.
Yeah.
So this is going to come out the 19th, December 19th. You're going to be in Brazil on December 19th.
What is going to come out?
This episode, the one we're recording right now.
I could be dead when I'm talking to you. You're listening to me on, or watching me on the computer, and I might be dead.
So you've said that a couple of times in reference to this trip. Oh well, if I make it back, or if I'm alive, and
I intend very well to make it back, but I also realize that there's a possibility that anything could go wrong at any time.
That is true. Okay with it. That is a thing that can happen. But maybe just keep it in your brain.
Why? Why are people so freaked out by dying?
Dude, I am probably the last person who's freaked out by dying, but also at the same time, you don't want to like announce it. Like you don't want to be like, maybe I'm gonna die. No, you want to be like, everything's gonna be awesome.
I could die in my sleep tonight and never make it.
You could, but like that's not very likely. I'm just being honest. Yeah, it's not likely.
Anyway, I was more of just kind of joking around.
But you've done it several times.
I'll be alive. Okay, I'll be alive if you listen to this. When you're listening to it, I will still be alive.
Thank God, because I need a bass mentor next year.
Oh. I'm not mentoring you until you can stand up your landings.
Fuck you, Joe.
And land within 5 meters of your target every time.
I would argue that I'm pretty close to the 5 meter thing. There have been
it's over 15 feet.
Yeah, I know. There have been a couple that definitely I was not within 15 feet, like you pointed out in the last episode. But most of them, I would say, are within that 15 feet. They're just not always on my feet.
Start practicing braked approaches.
So, yes, I
start practicing a quarter brake final and flare for quarter brake.
Or even just flying the whole pattern in brakes and getting used to that for accuracy and doing it. Yeah.
Yep. The idea is to spill your altitude, or get rid of altitude for setting up to where you want to land.
Yeah. So that,
higher than trying to get there when you're lower. You know what I mean?
yep, that is a thing
Oh,
I definitely intend to work a lot more on.
it sounds
Um,
weird, right? Like lose as much altitude as you can up high. Well, it kind of sounds weird, right? But like you want to plan where you're landing, the higher you are, and fly your brakes to get there
yeah.
sooner than waiting till the last second. Like, oh shit, I gotta surge my canopy if I want to make it.
But also, I mean, if we're being honest, you said spill your altitude while you have altitude, right?
Yeah,
So that's what
setting yourself
swoopers
up.
do. That's what
Yeah,
swoopers do.
yeah,
Like,
you're
and
setting
it's
yourself
fun.
up for
Or, or even if you're not swooping, like I like to get on my brakes and like throw some like pretty heavy 360s and just spiral down and stuff. Like I like to do that. Like, I mean, that's what kind of what we do, like
yeah,
spill altitude while you have it.
yes, but yeah. Um, I mean, basically, it's used for accuracy, right?
Hmm.
You want to be able to have your braked approaches so that you know you're not going to overshoot, and you know you're going to land where you want to. So you
Yeah.
should be able to land from quarter and half brakes, actually. But I wouldn't practice landing from half brakes if you can help it. I would practice a quarter brake flare, though,
All right.
for sure.
So yeah, that is something I think that I started to take more to heart, like this last two times I was at the drop zone this season. So it's definitely something I'm going to work much more on once the season starts again.
I was at one point going to try to get my pro rating, and then I just never did.
Why not?
Because you have to declare it every time. You have to land within
10 times in
3 meters.
a row.
Yeah, and you have to land within 3 meters.
Yeah.
And I had like a Saber 2 150.
No, you don't have to land within 3 meters. You have to land within a 20 by 40 rectangle, I think.
Is that what it is?
I think it is. I
Yeah.
mean, I might be wrong in those dimensions, but like it's not super small.
My, I have to admit something. My cardiovascular fitness is not what it used to be.
Dude, I completely concur.
Like, dude, sometimes I get winded just going up 3 flights of stairs.
3 flights, dude.
Yeah,
I'm looking at like two, one and a half, two.
yeah.
I
I mean, I'm not dying or anything, but I also have asthma.
but like you
So I
feel
don't
it.
know.
Yeah, you feel it,
Yeah, I feel like,
dude.
oh my, I've even
I
lost like 10 pounds.
I joined a gym and I'm doing this like 4 month program or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
this first month, one of the things the guy has me doing is pushing a sled with
Oh, nice. That's
like
cool. That's fun.
yeah, it's awesome. It's horrible.
Dude, I
So,
love working out. I just need to go. I just need to make time, dude.
but
Like I used
the
to get up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning
oh,
and
I
go to the
never did three. I was always a
Oh
four
yeah,
guy. Like I got up at 4 and went. But yeah,
I did it
uh,
for a long time. But
I, I think genetics are starting to kick in because like I'm doing all kinds of blood work and like my triglycerides are way off. Like all my stuff is just super weird,
it's
and
diet.
that's part. It's not because I eat very healthy. I eat very healthy. Um, pretty sure it's genetics.
Okay.
My wife used to be a vegan. Like she was vegan for 6 years. So
My
I
ex-wife's vegetarian.
essentially ate a vegan diet for a long time. And even now that she's not vegan, we
That
still eat
doesn't necessarily
a
mean that
very
you're
healthy diet.
that's healthy for you though. Just one person's a vegan doesn't mean that you eating that way is going to benefit you
Well, okay, but
specifically.
by healthy, what I'm saying is it was fresh fruits, it was
I understand.
vegetables, it was,
I
it
understand.
was not
Apple a day
processed food.
keeps
Yeah,
the doctor away.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very healthy food. It was not processed. It was, you know, it was healthy
Mine's
food.
definitely probably due to I haven't been to the gym since like I think I went for a few days a month or two ago, but like I stopped going in February, March because then I went to the Prime and then I went to the Europe trip and then I broke my foot and then it was like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Dude, I literally go to some sort of a gym 5 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I go to this gym for this 4-month program. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go to a climbing gym and I
Climbing, yeah.
boulder for an hour to an hour and a half. Like, I am not an unactive person, but like
I have these days,
this
I
gut,
guess.
man, it's killing me. I don't know what the fuck's happening. I'm just getting old.
I got a desk job, dude. So I'm sitting on my ass staring at the computer, sending emails and on fucking Teams meetings for fucking 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah. I'm retired and lazy, I think is what it comes down to. So
I don't have enough time in a day to get done what I need to get done. Anyway, that's all I was saying is
oh,
I'm not dying or anything, but my cardiovascular health is not amazing anymore.
so by the time this comes out, it's gonna be like a month later. But right now, it's December 5th in Erie, Pennsylvania, and in the last week, we have gotten 4 feet of snow. So
We got a dusting right now. I wouldn't call it a quarter inch or a half inch or anything. It's just kind of a dusting that's stayed.
we got 4 feet. Like
Yeah.
the
Well,
fence.
you're right up by the Erie or the lake. Number one.
No, that is not an accurate statement.
Well, you're right on the jet stream there, right where the wind blows everything up.
So yes, I'm very close to the lake, but usually when you think of lake effect snow, it goes right over top of us, and it
Well, yeah,
dumps.
but you're still
It
anything that
it
happens.
dumps like a mile south of us.
Yeah, but anything that
So
happens west of you, you're gonna get southwest
no,
is where the jet stream moves up.
it's right where I'm at. That is not true.
Okay.
For years, that has not been true. Um, we usually get where we are at 6 inches of snow a year. It's super cold and it's super windy, but the snow goes right over top of us and dumps like a mile south of us. It like that. It's just the way it has been.
I don't want any snow.
For whatever reason, this year it's completely the opposite. And usually where they get dumped on, they haven't gotten any snow at all, and we have gotten just all of it, all
Nice.
of it. So I've been out shoveling, I've been out snow blowing, like every 2 hours for like days in a row, just trying to stay ahead of it. It's been insane. It's been completely insane.
So what you're saying is you're active.
Yes, today I actually had to climb on my roof and like get the snow off of my chimneys so that we could start a fire inside to so that the smoke would go out and not come into my house. Like I had to go up and clear them off.
Clear the flue.
Yeah.
Clear the flue.
Dude, getting on and off of that ladder with muck boots and snow pants and a snow jacket was scarier than jumping out of an airplane. Like getting off of my roof onto the ladder was terrifying. I was like, I'm gonna fall and I'm gonna die. Like I'm just gonna fall and die. That's what's gonna happen, and that will be the end of me.
This is a good segue into what the other article I want to talk about from last episode. Also part of the safety and training section of this month's December Parachutist is a medical doctor. Her name is Laura Galdamez. So she did a study on hypoxia. You know what hypoxia is?
I used to be a pilot. Yes, I know all about hypoxia.
So I'm kind of asking you so you could answer for anybody in the audience or our listeners that don't know what hypoxia is.
So hypoxia is once you reach a certain altitude. As far as being a pilot goes, it's 12,000 feet. But for skydiving, obviously it's different because we go to 13,500. But once you're above a certain altitude for a certain period of time, the oxygen is significantly less. So you're breathing the air in and out, and you're not getting the oxygen that your body needs.
Less oxygen molecules.
Right. And so you start to become hypoxic. And what hypoxia is Symptoms are different for everybody. The only way that you will know for sure is if you get into a what is it, a hyperbaric chamber or something like that, to put yourself into a hypoxic state. But
Depressurize.
symptoms are headache, fatigue,
Consciousness, but
dissociation.
you're not really aware,
Right, you're
consciously unaware,
right. You are
making bad decisions.
conscious, but you can't answer questions,
Yeah.
things like
So
that. Uh,
hypoxia is basically your brain is,
Starved
and
of
you've now
oxygen.
starved your brain of oxygen, and you're made, so people on Everest, like that are climbing Everest, suffer from hypoxia a lot of times because they take their oxygen mask off and accidentally leave it off for too long, and then they start making stupid mistakes, and then they're dead.
Well, that's what they talk about, the death zone on Everest,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
what, 23,000 feet to 29,000 feet, I think,
I
is
don't
the death
remember.
zone,
Something like
something like
that. Yeah,
that. But
but
don't quote me on these numbers exactly because it's been a couple of years. But as far as like being a private pilot goes, if you are above 12,000 feet, and you have passengers on your plane, I believe they are required to have oxygen. If you
well,
if
let's also talk about, is that 12,000 feet MSL or is that 12,000 feet?
I believe it's MSL, but it's also for a certain time period. If you intend on being in that
Exactly.
altitude for
Yeah,
more than a half an hour,
that's what I was going to point
then
out
they
too.
are required to have oxygen.
The
If you
time.
are a
It's also the time.
pilot above 14,000 feet, I believe you are required to have oxygen no
That's
matter how long you
yeah.
plan
So
on
that's
being
yeah.
there.
That's what I think most would consider a halo jump. Anything over 14,000, oxygen on the way up. The pilot
Yeah,
has oxygen.
yeah.
But yeah, no. So I thought this article was really interesting. I was a little let down because it was kind of short and she didn't get a lot of data points, but basically she wanted to do a study because uh, the studies that are out there and peer reviewed are from uh, the military, the major data,
Okay.
and studies come from the military pilots, and they're all mostly male, young, and all those
The
studies said that hypoxia, occurred in under, less than 5% of hypoxia episode occurred at under 14,000 feet. But her take was, well, what does that say for people who are not necessarily young and healthy, right?
right.
And the conditions that you're in. So it's really
So
good.
wait,
I'd
so
go
so
check it.
wait, hold on. You said most people under 14,000 feet, young
So
and fit,
the
experienced
primary studies,
hypoxic symptoms.
yeah, the primary studies that they did were of young, healthy military pilots, mostly male, and those studies show that less than 5% of hypoxia episodes occur under 14,000 feet.
Oh, okay. So less than 5%.
Yeah.
So 95% plus are above 14,000 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
But
All right.
her take on it was like, well, what about people that aren't necessarily young
Right.
anymore and that aren't necessarily super fit,
Right.
right?
And you know, I've always assumed that we jump from 13,500 feet because of these hypoxia issues. Um, but it makes you, if you didn't know about hypoxia, it would make you wonder, why do we jump from 13.5? Why don't we jump higher? Why couldn't you jump higher? It's because of hypoxia. Like that's
Yeah.
why the planes don't go higher than that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I will say that I've experienced sort of maybe some sort of weird symptoms of hypoxia before because of having to do go arounds, doing
Okay.
multiple go arounds.
Sure.
Um, anyway, so her study, she basically got the devices you wear on your wrist. They're the wrist mounted um,
Like
oxygen
pulse ox
monitoring.
sensors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pulse oximeters. And
Yeah.
she did a study. She first did one on herself, Um, and her levels, she did 3 of them. Her levels went down. It was average, 90% was her average for oxygen at, 13.5, 14,000. But at times would drop to like 77, 83, low 80s, 80s.
Okay.
Um,
So like 90% you'd be fine. You'd be fine. Getting into the high 70s, like that's questionable. Like that's where you're gonna start feeling stuff.
so, well, here's the other thing though too. So it also depends on sort of kind of what your conditions are, right? She's small, uh, thin, lugging around 25-pound rig with an extra 12-pound weight belt, and she was jumping in Arizona where it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit,
Sure.
wearing a black
Yeah.
jumpsuit and a full face helmet, and what she calls a toaster oven of a twin otter. you know,
Yeah.
so
As a person
he
who jumps
takes
a black jumpsuit, yeah, that is fucking hot as hell.
yeah, so all that your body's trying to cool itself down at the same time
Yeah.
too, so you're sweating, so you're getting less oxygen, etc. The
But
part
but
where I was kind of go ahead.
well, I was gonna say again, that makes me wonder how much time is that pilot spending at 13.5, because it shouldn't be more than a minute or two, 2 or 3 minutes to get all the jumpers out of the plane. Even with a decent separation, like it shouldn't take that long. So, by the time you get to jump altitude, they put the flaps down, you slow down, you spot, you look out, you're there for 5 minutes tops, and that's if you're a wingsuiter getting out very last. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're at that 13.5 for like 5 minutes tops. Um, so it makes me wonder how long she was up there for, because 5 minutes
So,
you should be fine. You should be fine
well, yeah. So it also
with
depends,
five
right? So
minutes.
on one of her jumps, right, compared to the usual, 20 minutes, right? It's a flight up and then jump run and then exit, right? They had to do a couple go arounds because of traffic, right?
Okay,
And then
so yeah, that
that's
adds to it. Yeah, that
yeah,
certainly
so
adds to
that's
it.
when it
Yeah.
dropped down to even below, 80. She says. The part where I kind of was bummed out about is the she said the monitors weren't working the first couple of days of the camp. Like they're doing a big way camp, so she kind of recruited some people to do this study. So they didn't. The only quality data that they got um, was on actual halo jumps above 14,000 feet where they were taking oxygen, but
Yeah.
the figure shows what the oxygen saturation was until they started using oxygen, and it's pretty decent, right? Like some of them drop to like the low 70s then you can see when they're taking an oxygen. So anyway, I thought it was an interesting article. You can check it out. It's in the safety and training section of the parachutist. The part where I was saying I kind of got bummed out about it was the initial data that they had didn't work on the big way camp the first couple of days, and then the only useful data they got was um, from when they did high altitude jumps. So you can see their oxygen levels, where they're at, where they drop, and then you can see the point at where they start taking oxygen. And some of them dip down to like 73, low 70s, which are getting into the realm of hypoxia.
Yeah, for sure. How long are they there though?
Are you with me?
Like I feel like that's the question. Like if it's only for a second or two, they might not even notice. You know what I mean? But if it's for a minute,
Yeah.
that could be significant.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. So I mean, you can check out the article. It's interesting. It's in this month's Parachutist.
Yeah, I don't have my episode yet,
Um,
or not my issue yet, so I'll have to look at it.
your magazine yet? Yeah. Mo used to tell me stories back in the day of how they would guys would experience hypoxia because they would take the Cessna as high as they could get it, and the amount of time it took to get to
Right.
13, 14,000 feet. He'd tell he'd have stories where guys would come to mid free fall, like whoa, like don't remember how they got there
And
because they
that's
had
why you
hypoxia for the
jump out of
last 10
Cessnas at like
minutes.
10 grand. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an interesting article. I think your
Yeah,
internet's still
I would like to
locked
read more
out.
about that.
Uh, anyway, so that's what I had to talk about. Was that hypoxia article?
Hypoxia.
I thought it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Uh, do you know your symptoms of hypoxia? Like, if you were to become hypoxic, would you be able to tell? Like,
I feel like
with no doubt.
I possibly would. Do you know if you've this probably has I'm not a medical expert, so it might have nothing related at all. Have you ever seen like stars? When you stand up real fast, like just in
Yeah,
your
sure.
peripheral.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while on the plane, like if we're going around or something, and I'm like really straining to look outside or talk to somebody, I'll turn back around real quick and I'll see like those little stars
Yeah,
sometimes.
sure.
Not very
Yeah.
often, but then I can always also tell like, oh man, I kind of feel like lightheaded a little bit.
You know when I get those?
Huh.
It's when I blow really hard snot rockets in the
Oh
shower.
yeah, you blow your nose real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just wow, everything closes in on me. Yeah.
yeah.
That's when that happens to me. But
But
I actually do know my personal symptoms of hypoxia. So
yeah,
um the flight school that I went to made it made a big deal about you need to know what this is like. So we went up the see if I had oxygen. I didn't, and I was flying the plane until I was a fucking idiot and I couldn't fly it anymore. So my personal symptoms of hypoxia are headache, blurred vision. I feel cold, which I don't think is like a norm. Like that's not a common symptom. And the fourth one is um, shortness of breath,
obviously,
which
yeah,
is very common. But yeah, headache, and then the um, like closed in vision, like
yeah.
those are
Tunnel
those
vision.
yeah, those are those are my personal symptoms of hypoxia.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you don't realize it, it kicks in. Kind of screwed.
Well, that is the thing. Like people don't realize because you you feel euphoric. You have a sense of euphoria. Like you feel like there's nothing wrong, you know. Um, and that's why it's so dangerous because you don't realize that something's wrong with you.
Yeah, something's going on, man.
Yeah,
Until it's too late. Kind of like rabies.
kind of like yeah, just like rabies.
Kind of like rabies,
Exactly.
man.
Yeah,
By the time you have any symptoms, it's too late. There's nothing they can do
that's
for you. Up an allergy to water, H2O. Dude,
every, everything around you is awesome, and you don't realize that it's bad.
dude, rabies are terrifying, man. Like,
Uh,
have you ever seen any videos of like rabies cases?
so I was just going to try to expound upon rabies, but it occurred to me that it's been so long that I don't remember anything about it. So yes, I have, but I don't recall them.
Yeah, well, this has nothing to do with skydiving, but we'll talk about it anyway.
Yeah, fuck it. What's up with rabies, bro? Tell
So
tell
yeah,
tell me about the last time you had rabies.
I've never had rabies, thank God. So the thing with rabies is that's why they insist you get, like, if you ever get bit by a stray dog or something,
Hmm.
like you're you're supposed to report that, and you're supposed to get rabies shots, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to get
Rabies.
vaccinated. Yeah,
Yeah. So basically,
and
what
it's a
rabies?
series.
Yeah. So basically, what rabies does is before it shows any symptoms, it's already made its way and worked its way into your brain and your
Oh
CNS.
yeah. Yep.
So by the time you
Central
realize you
nervous.
have any
Yep.
symptoms, it's literally it's too late.
It's too late. Yep.
Yeah, you develop basically a an allergy, or I don't know if I'll call it an allergy, but you are so thirsty, you're thirsty, but every time you drink water, you vomit. It's like, so you're basically dehydrating to death.
Anything to try to help yourself, it
Yeah,
causes an adverse reaction.
basically, yeah. Like, so the main one is H2O. Like, you basically
Yeah.
have a gag reflex and an inability to consume H2O at all. It's and like you just it's the slowest, most miserable death I think you could probably ever have.
Eh, Uh, Geez. So now I'm thinking about maybe some movies that I saw, and maybe this isn't accurate at all. But yeah, I'm not.
Foaming at the
I'm
mouth is a thing.
okay. I'm not even gonna say it because I'm sure it's inaccurate. I'm thinking of like, uh, Contagion, or like that movie a long time ago with Dustin
Oh, like
Hoffman and the
28 days
monkey.
later or whatever, all that
No,
stuff.
no, even before that, Ebola, some Ebola thing.
Yeah,
Anyways, I'm not thinking in the right vein. So never mind. I'm an
no,
idiot. Fuck me.
yeah. So rabies is pretty terrifying.
Um, since we're off topic, can I tell a really quick, interesting story?
Yeah, why not? We'll wrap it up
All right.
after the story.
When I was in the army, we were getting ready to be deployed to Iraq for the first time. So this would have been 2004. And anytime gear up to get deployed, you have to go through all this medical stuff, all these screenings, like all this bullshit, right? We were getting anthrax immunizations because
Wow,
anthrax was like a thing at the time. Like people were sending letters of,
the mail.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, anthrax powder in the mail. So you also have like literally a card, like a yellow card that has all of your immunizations on it. When you're in the military, it says the name of the immunization, the date, the dosage. If it's part of a series, it says which immunization in that series. Like it's very well documented. So the first three of these anthrax immunizations were documented that way. It said, I don't remember exactly what it said. This was 20 years ago, but it was like Anthrax Series 1 on this date, this dosage, that kind of stuff. And so it was like that for the first three. And then the FDA decided that no, you
That's not
you
enough.
you can't be shooting people up with anthrax. This
Mm.
isn't safe. No, it's not good. You can't do that.
Yeah, I think the military's done that more than once.
Oh yes, I have. So this was a 6 series immunization. You have to get 6 shots,
Mhm.
right? I had gotten 3. All of us in my company, or well, geez, probably division, had gotten those first 3, right? They didn't stop the next 3, just numbers. Like there were no names, there were no series. It was just numbers and a date, just numbers and a date. But we knew it was the anthrax series. You
Yeah.
know, it wasn't until like 2 or 3 years later that we realized, or the information was provided to us that the government, the FDA, was like, no, you can't do that. That's not safe. But
Well,
we were already halfway through, so they, I guess, just decided to finish it.
you know,
So
when
I'm
you sign
pretty
that dotted
sure.
line, You do what they tell you.
Yeah, you don't have any say over anything.
That's it. You've signed over your rights.
Yeah. So I'm like 94% sure that I'm immune to anthrax.
Well, at least less susceptible to its effects.
I'm gonna say immune, and
Well,
let's
let me
test
know
it.
if you ever get the
Let's
test
find
back.
out.
I don't want to find out ever.
So I'll dig that card out and wow, geez, if I can find it, I don't even know. I used to keep it in my wallet, but I definitely don't anymore. If I can find it, I will show you. It shows 3 anthrax 1, 2, 3, and then the next ones are just numbers.
7256789-4.
Yeah, and then the next ones 56789-5. Yeah, like yeah. It's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah, thanks.
But I'm pretty sure I'm immune to anthrax.
Nice. You're kind of a superhero.
I would like to think so.
Yeah, so next time there's an anthrax bombing, we send you in to rescue people. And
I will snort that shit like cocaine and be immune,
you don't even
bro.
need a respirator.
No, I'll just suck it all up through my nose.
All right, man. Well, by the time this comes out, I'll be still alive and back from Brazil.
You will. And when this comes out, I'm gonna call somebody out. Jeff Miller. You say you listen. Send us a comment. Send us an email.
Why won't you email us, Jeff? beerpodcast24@gmail.com.
Send us a question. Be on the show, bro. You say you like it. Let's do it. Show it.
All right,
man.
Well, I know everybody else enjoyed the episode. We hope you did too. Good time. I think they want an encore, Brian. They want an encore.
I couldn't hear anything you said while
that's fine. They want an encore.
They'll get one next week.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, follow us on all the medias.
Yeah. Facebook and YouTube and X and Instagram. Have you been posting any of this stuff, dude?
I have not. I'll be honest, I've not. I've been so slammed with work.
Yeah, I really haven't either. And honestly,
you're retired. You have no excuse.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm probably the one that should do it. So I'll try to be better. But I'm also old, and
I'm older than you, pal.
Yeah, but I don't know shit about social media anymore.
Well, I'm not really on it a whole lot either, but
we need to get a young person to do it for us.
That would be a staff member.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck in Brazil. We're gonna break the fourth wall here. Even though we're recording this beforehand, it'll come out while you're there. Good luck. Have a shit ton of fun.
I plan on it. Hopefully my feet work.
Yeah, just do all the fucking awesome shit and come back and show us all the videos and just have a blast, man.
I can't wait.
I'm so stoked for you.
I can't wait to go off the grid. Get off the work grid for 10 days. Like, don't call me, don't text me, don't email me. I'm gone.
I'm gonna be flying. Fuck you. Yeah. Like, I'm so stoked for you, dude.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So.
All right,
folks. Blue skies. All the good stuff.
Blue skies.
All right. See you guys.
Later, man.